Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Discover Your Creativity. I'm Dina Rico and I'm super excited to stamp with you again today. I've got some great cards to share with you and I think you're going to really love them. Also, I apologize that this was not on our normal Wednesday. My husband was out of town this week for work and I was taking care of a puppy, which is a lot like taking care of a toddler that bites. You always need to have your eye on her, and she bites. I can't wait to share with you. So let's get started. Okay, so this week we are going to be using the Lovely You stamp set, which is a really great stamp set because there are great images as well as lots of fun sentiments. And I love the font and the mixtures of like the handwritten words with the typeset words. So they're really a fun set. And I think that one of my favorite parts about stamping is all of the different things that you can do with our products. And this is another example, just like last week, of a really versatile stamp set that you can use for all sorts of occasions, seasons, and you can make all kinds of cards with it. And I'm going to show you a whole bunch of samples today. So one of the things that I also am going to introduce to you is a couple of my favorite tools in stamping. And the first one is, and I should say their favorite, but honestly, just because they're so utilitarian, they really are great. The first one is our paper trimmer, and our paper trimmer is really awesome. There's a lot of fantastic features that go with this. So let me show you a little bit about it. First of all, it comes with both a cutting blade and a scoring blade. The lighter one is the scoring blade. And it is really great because these blades are really sturdy. They last a long time. They're really good and strong. So you can see they are on the blade like this. You can also get refills of your blades. And what I love about this is that, like I said, they do last a long time. Also, our trimmer comes in both English and metric units, so you can use centimeters or inches. And it has an arm that extends out to 17 inches. So you can measure and trim things quite easily with this, with a wide variety of sizes. And then it goes to just over 12 inches on the cutting surface. So that's all great news. Okay, and the other thing is that it is it's really compact, and there's a hook, so if you want to hang it, you can. And also the arm sticks pretty good. In fact, when you first get it, it sticks really, really good. But once you start using it, it pops open pretty easily. Okay, so those are the features of our trimmer. And like I said, I really like it. This is the first trimmer that we've had that I've used like a lot. I've always gotten like bigger or more industrial or contraband trimmers in my use of trimmers. And this is the first one that I've actually used on a very like daily, like I use it all the time. So I really can say that it is a great tool. Okay, now what I love about it is what I can do with it. So one of the trickiest parts about card making for a lot of people is cutting the cardstock. So I'm going to show you a couple of my most used cuts of cardstock, how to do them, as well as how to make some really cute cards. So the first thing is our cardstock, at least in the US, is 8.5 inches by 11 inches. So a standard card is going to be a half of a sheet. So 11 inches cut in half is 5.5 inches. So I'm going to put my cardstock, let's see, at 5.5 inches like that and give it a cut. Now you want to make sure your cardstock is flush against that, that back board basically of your trimmer. So I will just give this a cut, and then I've got my two pieces of cardstock. Okay, so two cards out of a sheet of cardstock, and then I'm going to fold this in half with my bone folder to get a good crease. Okay, that's one way of doing it. Another way is to score this, and your trimmer does come with a scoring blade, which is really handy. As I mentioned, it's that lighter colored one. So half of 5.5 inches is 4.25 inches. Okay, so I'm going to just give that a score with the score blade. And then I'm just going to fold that in half. And you can do that, but you can see it stays kind of popped open. So I like bringing my bone folder in, and that gives me another good crease. Now, both ways work. Sometimes it's easier to score this. Sometimes I forget and I just fold my card and use my bone folder, but both are great tricks to have in your arsenal of stamping tricks. Okay, so that looks great. Now, so all of my cards are going to be this size that I make primarily. All right, the next thing we want to do is cut a layer of cardstock to go on our card. It's fun to have a layer of cardstock to cut and to use. So for this, I want to be able to see my card base. And so I'm going to cut this a little smaller than my card base. So I'm going to cut it 1/4 inch on each side smaller. Okay, so if you recall, we cut this in half, and that was 5.5 inches. So if you take 1/4 inch, you get 5.25 inches. So I'm going to put my cardstock at 5.25, give it a cut. Okay, and then that is the right dimension. I'm going to do the other side to be the same, because one of my favorite things to do is to create kind of a larger stack of paper in this size, because I use it all the time, so that I can have this handy and ready to use. And I'll show you why that's so important in a minute. Okay, now the other dimension on here is, this was originally 8.5. We scored it at 4.25, which means 1/4 inch off of 4.25 would be 4 inches. So I'm going to cut that at 4 inches. And by the way, just out of habit, I like to always cut from the bottom and going to the top. And the reason I like doing that is because I know if I'm pushing up against kind of the back of the trimmer, then I know my cardstock is flush against the back and that I'm going to be getting a nice straight cut. The other thing I can do is I can eyeball, because we have all these lines kind of on the grid here. I can eyeball and see that, yes, my cardstock is on here straight. It's not crooked like that, because that's going to give you rotten looking cards. We want nice looking cards. So I've got this pushed against the back. I always take my blades down, and then I'm going to push. The blades, you can run that together, but this is the one I'm pushing on. And that's going to give me that fabulous cut. Now, as you can see, I've got some leftover pieces, and these pieces are leftover from cutting these layers of cardstock. Hold on to these. I actually keep a little jar on my desk, because I use these a lot, and in future videos I'm going to show you what I do with them. We won't use them today, but you get the idea. Okay, so now I have cut 4 layers of white cardstock. This is our basic white cardstock, and then I've got my card bases. So I can get 4 of these pieces out of a sheet and 2 of these pieces. So let's make some cards, shall we? All right, I'm going to start with one of these layers, and like I said, I like to have a bunch of these pre-cut and ready to go. In fact, I'll even show you my dirty little secret. This is the stack of those layers that I have cut and ready to go in my drawer next to where I stamp. And I have them so that it's really easy when I go to make a card. I've got them ready to go. I can just grab one and I don't have to stop, cut my cardstock, and then keep going. So it makes the stamping a little bit quicker. Now I'm going to take that beautiful Lovely You stamp set, and I'm going to use 2 of the little leafy images to create a really beautiful card. I'm going to use some soft seafoam and some granny apple green, and we're just going to make a little design, and then I'm going to show you one of my second favorite tools and most used tools in stamping. Okay, so I inked this up with granny apple green, and I'm just going to stamp this kind of in the middle like so. I'm not measuring or anything. Then I'm going to flip my image upside down and stamp it just below like that. And then I'll do one to the right and one to the left, like so. And that's just kind of the basis of my stamping, really simple. Then I'll take this leafy branch thing and stamp it in my soft seafoam ink in between each piece. Now I'm not measuring or doing anything fancy. I'm just stamping these like so. Okay, and that looks pretty cool. All right, now I'm gonna take some cardstock, and once you get going in stamping, you'll have scraps left over from your various projects, and I love using up my scraps for different things. So I'm just going to take, this is a scrap that was left over from something. So I'm just going to take this piece and use it to stamp my sentiment. So I'd like to put a sentiment on top of this stamped area. And it's kind of messy, so I want to kind of cover up some of that mess. So I will stamp this in some Night of Navy ink. Navy is kind of a neutral color. It's actually found in our neutral family, color family of ink. And so what I love about that is it goes well with lots of different things. So I'll just stamp that down in my Night of Navy ink. And I'm going to take one of my paper punches. This is the Tailored Tag Punch. We have lots of different punches, and they are really handy to use. So I'm going to flip this over and line this up with my stamped sentiment so it's nice and centered, and then I'm going to punch. Okay, it's pretty easy to punch because this is a very simple design, and you just want to make sure that your hands are kind of out from the edge. I have pinched my hand, like pinched in the punch before. That hurts, just saying. So this is going to just punch my design, and I'm going to position this right on top of the stuff that I stamped already. And doesn't that look kind of nice? Now, one of the other things that I just love when I stamp, and if you've watched any of my videos, you definitely know this, is we have these things called Stampin' Dimensionals. They are little foam pieces that have adhesive on both sides. You can stick them on things and then just pull that backing piece off, and then it will give a little lift to your punch or whatever piece you have. So it's just slightly elevated on your card. Isn't that awesome? Okay, so now I'm going to take one of my card bases and adhere this to my card. My favorite tool is Seal for adhering projects together. And Seal is one of those products where you just want to use this with a light touch. Don't push like you're trying to, I don't know, but just a light touch. I couldn't think of anything. And then you're going to do it at kind of a low angle, so not up at the tippy top, but just kind of at a low angle. But when you end, I like to put it up at the top and then just pull it up and it will release. So that is double-sided adhesive, which I just love. You can use all kinds of different adhesives. One of my other favorites to use is liquid glue. And I'll show you how to use that here on our next card. So this is our basic card. It's so beautiful, isn't it? Now I have several other cards that I've made with this basic design. I just changed up the colors for various seasons. So I've got kind of a fall color. This is pumpkin pie and crushed curry. I've got kind of a wintry one with blackberry bliss and pool party. I've got another kind of wintry one with or maybe even springy one with Fresh Freesia and Pool Party, and then kind of a summery design with Bermuda Bay and Daffodil Delight. So these are all the exact same card idea, just different colors. And I could have gone and made even more out of this design. Really simple, just switching up the colors, which is a lot of fun, and using that tailored tag punch. Now, I wanted to kick this card up a little bit and just kind of add a little extra to this next one. So, you know, I'm all about the extra, right? I'm going to use the same stamped images. So I'll use my same 2 leaves in the same 2 colors, but I'm going to add to it one more image. And that is in our stamp set, there's a little single flower. So I want to pull that one out. I'm just going to pull it out of my case. Now, last time we used a photopolymer stamp set. This time we're going to use a red rubber stamp set. These are called cling stamps because they cling to the clear blocks. Now, they do come with a sheet of stickers. I personally have chose to not use those sticker sheets on my stamped images. And we can talk about this another time, but I just don't like them. And like I said, I'll kind of go through that another time, but I don't want to give you too much in this video because we're already going to do another card. All right, so I'm going to start with that same quarter sheet of cardstock that's trimmed 1/4 inch. So it's 4 inches by 5 1/4. So that 1/4 inch on the top and the side is going to give you a nice even border all the way around with your card. And you can also continue to subtract layers by 1/4 inch on each side and go down, and you'll have lovely layers of cardstock. But we're going to keep it simple with just 1 layer today. Now, this time I'm going to do a different punch. We have another punch. This is called I believe it's the oval duet punch. So there's 2 ovals. There's a plain oval and then a slightly larger scalloped oval. And I love these because they are designed to work together. So I'm going to take that same scrap piece, or I've got a scrap piece of cardstock right here, and I'm just going to punch myself an oval to use on this card. And let's see, I'm actually going to show you a little trick. So I've got this piece of cardstock, but if I punched right here, I was going to waste all of this, and I didn't want to waste this. So I got rid of this stuff that's down here. And that way I can take my punch and, well, I was going to try and save it. I give up. Oh, there we go. I'm going to punch it like that because then I can get both pieces at once. I'm going to save this one for a later use, and then I'm going to use this piece for my sentiment in just a moment. I'm also going to take a scrap of black cardstock and punch that scalloped oval. And these 2 pieces will then layer together like so. Okay, so I want to take this first one though and use this on my card to draw where it is so that I can do my stamping better. So I'm just going to take a pencil and I'm going to lightly trace this. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just we want to get an idea of where our stamping is going to happen. All right, so I will take those same images as before and stamp them down. So I'll start with my Granny Apple Green. Now this time I'm going to stamp a few more than 4. So I'm going to start a little bit off, you know, not in the same orientation as before. So 1, 2, 3. Oh no, I guess I am going to do 4. Sorry. 4. Okay, so they're on there. And then we'll do the leafy branch in between. Okay. Oh, and I stamped it upside down. Now that's probably not the end of the world, but we'll just keep going around. Adding our images like so. Okay, so now I've got those on there. And then next I'm going to take and add my flower. Now my flower is going to be in Magenta Madness, this hot pink color that I just love. And I'm going to stamp that around. I'm going to overlap things a little bit, and that's going to be okay. Put one over here, one down here, and one more over here. So we've got all of those beautiful flowers. Isn't that a fun, cheerful card? Okay, so now what I want to do is add my sentiment. And honestly, I showed you on our first card how you stamp the sentiment first and then punch it out, because you can center it up, and you can 100% do that. I did punch mine ahead of time because I wanted to show you how the punch worked. So I was able to pretty easily stamp this down this time. But like I said, you can do it ahead of time just to get it centered better. Okay, so I'm just going to layer those two up like this, and then I'm going to place this onto my card. And because we penciled this in, you know, we could arrange everything just the way we wanted it. And if you don't pencil it in, that's okay. It just helps get everything lined up the way you'd like. All right, so then I'm going to take a couple more of those dimensionals. They're just my fave. And we'll pop this up onto our card like so. And isn't that fun? Okay, just like before, I'll take my half a sheet of Crumb Cake cardstock. I don't know if I ever mentioned that's Crumb Cake cardstock. And I'm going to adhere this to my crumb cake card base. Okay, I love crumb cake because it's also just a wonderful neutral color. And that's my card. Isn't that beautiful? It's so much fun. And wouldn't this cheer you up if you received it? Okay, now that we've made two super awesome cards, and I've shown you a few examples, I'm going to show you a few more examples, kind of like this one where I've stepped it up. So you've had the basic cards and those varieties. Let me show you some more of these. So I changed out different colors of ink, different colors of cardstock. Here I added a layer. And do you guys recognize this? This was the color combination from the pumpkin card I made last week. And by the way, I will link our episode 1 to the back end of this video so you can check it out. And there's also some embellishments on here. We'll get to embellishments later on, but here's another pretty card. This time I just took the smile. This is a completely different design, but I just wanted to show you some of the things that you can do with this stamp set, and it's just so much fun. So I hope you've loved these projects. I will post the dimensions that I used in the description of this video, along with the blog post where all of the photos of all these projects can be found, and I will also link all the supplies that I used to create these cards in the description of this video as well. Of course, as always, if you need to purchase any of the supplies to make any of these projects, I would be so grateful if you shopped my online store. I have some great perks for customers, and I give gifts with your purchase. Yay! So thank you guys so much for being here with me for Discovering Your Creativity Volume 2. I will see you right back here next Wednesday. Happy stamping, my friends. Bye-bye.